How do you feel about Shedeur Sanders and the kind of phenomenon of Shedeur?
So I'm a big believer in Shedeur. I am, and not from the stance that like this is the next coming of Tom Brady. Like he should have been a number one overall pick. Um, but I did not like how the whole draft sequence went, where it felt like it was almost a quest to humble him because he was not a fifth round talent, like not in that draft. Like picking him below Dylan Gabriel, I thought was strange. Like if he fell to the second round, like sure, so be it. Like there are some questionable things about his game that I think could use some work, but there are some guys that he went after. Tyler Shuck as well. Like even though he doesn't look too bad in New Orleans so far, but like some of those guys, I don't see how you picked over a player like Shador, and I felt like there was just a level of discomfort I had with the way that the NFL handled that situation because it felt very personal. Um, so I am rooting for Shador just off the sake that I don't like the perception that he's been placed as like a bad person or something like that. Like teammates loved him. Like he played through injuries. He took crazy hits. Like he was a very like dedicated player to Colorado for the time that he was there. And people are like trying to make him out to be some kind of a bad person because he is he's showy, he is, but he's also Deion Sanders' son, so it's not like he really had a choice whether to be showy or not. So I don't like the way that he was treated. Um, I also do not trust Cleveland. They are the one organization I think that is more faulty than the Lions are, which the Lions have improved, to be fair. But I don't trust Cleveland at all. I think that they are an abomination of an organization. If there was relegation in the NFL, I think that they would belong in some kind of a minor league. They're a joke. And I don't trust them to support him properly and put things around him. So I don't even know if it's going to work in Cleveland, but I think he deserves a shot because Dylan Gabriel is not. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't. So I'm rooting for Shador. Some of it is more personal than football wise, but we'll see if Cleveland can find a way to put a supporting cast around hopefully a legitimate NFL quarterback.
So it's almost been kind of obligatory for me to like uh, give everything kind of a preface or a qualifier. I'm not anti Shador. I have nothing against him as a player or a person. I've been trolling, okay, because it does generate uh, discussion and get views and whatever. Um, I didn't. For me, going into the draft, I didn't view. I think he's better than a fifth round pick too, but I didn't see him as a first round pick either. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Um, I think kind of with the Tyler Shuck and Dylan Gabriel, I feel like maybe they have higher floors but lower ceilings, and Shador kind of has a lower floor but higher ceiling. And for me, I didn't understand the kind of conspiracy, the conspiratorial mindset that they were out to, as you said, humble him. I've been comparing it to like flat earthers from the perspective that when I've talked to a couple flat earthers, I'm like, why are people lying about the shape of the earth? What do they have to gain from it? And so the way I view it is everybody's wants to keep their job. If you think that Shador can help you or you see something in him, why would you hurt yourself to hurt him? So I don't know. I don't know, obviously behind the scenes, who's talking to who and what came out to, because he was projected to be a first, second round talent, and then to drop to fifth round is it's weird in that in the moment. Um, Interesting. I I like Shador. Like I think he does get some unfair criticism. I've talked about that mime interview that he had. It's harmless. It's meaningless. It's silly. Probably shouldn't have done it because at the same time, if he's being a teammate to Dylan, you don't. You just want to say, hey, look, Dylan's a quarterback. I want to do everything I can to help the team win. It sometimes you got to just hit those layups, even if it's you're biting your tongue to do it or holding back a little bit. Uh, but so my issue has been with the kind of radical Shador fans because I try to give everyone equal chance and equal sympathy, empathy. I'm not sure what Dylan Gabriel is. Undersized. I personally don't like left-handed quarterbacks. Um,
Me neither.
they don't have a good track record, but it seemed to me that as soon as Shedeur, when people found out, okay, Joe Flacco's being benched for Dylan, there was the Shedeur fans that hate when Shedeur's criticized were putting Dylan under a microscope. Everything he did, and it was always like, this is Dylan's fault. And so I had a little soundbite where I said, they're saying it's Dylan's fault right now, but when Shedeur plays, they're going to start talking about coaching. They're going to start talking about receivers, and that's what started happening. So that first game against the Raiders, I predicted. I almost had everything exactly right. Just patting myself on the back. I said it'd be like 24-13. I think it was 24-10, and I almost had like his exact yards and stuff. But he was like, I think 10 for 18 for 145 yards and a really awful interception. It could be a miscommunication, whatever. But then that 66-yard screen pass to Sampson put him over 200 and kind of
Mhm.
even things out. And people are like, because Dylan Gabriel was described as the check down king. And all I've really seen from the Browns has been screens and checkdowns. I understand there's not a lot of talent around him, but it just seems like the grace they're giving Shedeur, they didn't want to give to Dylan because they wanted Shedeur to begin with. And once again, I've heard, Kevin Stefanski doesn't like him. Oh, look how we talked about him in the post game, didn't give him the game ball. Jerry Judy, you know, uh, a guy told me the other day that the defense sucks. I was like, the defense is like the best thing about the Browns. They had 10 sacks against the Raiders. Now it's the defense's fault. Um, he's a rookie, 2 games in. Who knows? It's like you said, Cleveland Browns, terrible organization, not a lot of offensive firepower there. I just kind of wish, and I understand that it's coming from all angles, and there probably is a racial component to it because we know there's people out there that look at certain players a different way. This guy's confident, but this guy's cocky. We know. Um, so I don't think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, sometimes like the other day, I just commented on a thing that was like, Shedeur, it was Shedeur's Raider game stats, and it was like, looks pretty good, averaging X amount per completion. I'm like, yeah, but 66 of that came from one screen that
Mm.
Samson did all the work. And it was immediate, you're a hater, you know, ins- insults. You can't hurt my feelings. I don't care. I think it's funny. I'm gonna interact. But yeah, I wish him well. I always say I don't if you're not playing for the Eagles or Cowboys, I like good football. So I like to see good football. I want
Yeah.
everybody to be competitive and worth watching. So I certainly don't want him to fail. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel you on that because there's definitely two sides to that. Where, like you said, because as a Shador supporter, I'm like, yeah, there are things that I don't like that the Browns do, but also you can't jump on everything and blame everybody else because Shador also is far from perfect as a player. I think he's better than Dylan. I think he offers more abilities than Dylan does. Like when in the Raiders game, one play that he did make, rolling out to the right, he hits Isaiah Bond on like a 50-yard pass.
yeah, that was a
That's a pass
perfect
that Dylan
pass.
Gabriel is not even attempting to make, which is kind of the issue with Dylan Gabriel more than anything, is he is just a little bit too conservative. But yeah, at the same time, like you said, the screen pass, like you got to be careful looking at just the basic stat line. Like look at how this person got the stat line because the interception was
Absolutely.
really shaky looking, and the screen pass was just kind of a screen pass. I mean, good for him for getting it out there, but you don't really deserve 66 yards from that necessarily. But he got it. But I do also see some of the other sides where I'm not gonna lie looking at Stefanski's post game thing, I thought it was a little weird too. Like you're giving out game balls, and the rookie quarterback who's playing in his first game leads you to a win, but you haven't won a game in a minute, and you just kind of don't win a lot of games. And he is the quarterback, he is the leader, and I feel like in a situation like that, like Jared Goff got a game ball last night from Dan Campbell for playing a very regular Jared Goff game. a rookie making his first start, leading you to something that you really don't do very often, which is win. Obviously, Miles Garrett is the guy to go to give him all the props in a game like that. But I'm not gonna lie, I side at that a little bit. Jerry Judy wanted to argue with Shedeur Sanders on the sideline. I side at that a little bit as well. So I don't know. With Cleveland, it's like a wait and see kind of thing. Because, like you said, you can't jump on everything. Some stuff is just football stuff. Like, there's context behind it. It's just try and interpret Kevin Stefanski's intentions. Like, I think it's a little bit rushed for that. Let's see how Shador genuinely looks. But I do question Cleveland's organizational skills a lot. And I think that for him to be, again, I think the humbling again with the fifth round thing for me just didn't make a lot of sense. And then he goes to an organization that is not going to support him properly. It's like I just want to see this young guy get support because
Hmm.
he's not seeming to get that from really anybody. So I just want to see him get a fair shake. But at the same time, Dylan deserves a fair shake too because he also has to play with this shitty roster.
Right. Um, I don't know all the details that went on between Judy and Shedeur. You want to fill me in on what they were arguing about? Because for me, when I first heard about that, I was like, AJ Brown has a lot of valid gripes with Jalen and Patullo, whatever his name is. The offense not really clicking, and when he kind of makes these little cryptic posts or says something to the media, people take AJ Brown's side because they see that he's not getting the ball. They're not even really trying to get him the ball. And so my first instinct, without any details, was like, if I'm a wide receiver for the Browns and all these passes are going to running backs, or if I am getting targeted and it's nowhere near me, I'd be a little annoyed too. So was there anything else that went on there?
I think it was just the perception of the interaction in itself because it went like I feel like AJ Brown will come up to Jalen Hurts and be like, "Yo," because this is what happened with Jerry Judy and Shedeur Sanders. Is Shedor's looking at the iPad and Judy comes over to him and is like trying to point stuff out, but he's like being very very demonstrative about it and like a little bit like a little riled up. And for me, it's like that's a little bit much again for a quarterback who's making a second start and you didn't have this energy for the quarterback who was missing you on a lot of throws
That's
earlier
fair.
in the season.
That's
Not to
fair.
say that he should have done that to Dylan because he shouldn't have done that to Dylan either. But for him to like get rah rah with Shedeur on the sideline, I just thought was a little bit strange. And it may be because he likes Shedeur and he expects more from him and he feels comfortable doing that with him. It could be that. It could absolutely be that. And I think that's more likely than anything. But I can see how Shedeur's like hardcore followers because I like them, but I wouldn't call myself a hardcore follower. Um, I could see how they would take that, like, oh, everybody wants to argue with him now, like blah blah blah, because it's fuel to the fire because there have been
Yeah.
so many little things that occur. I think of back during the draft season when somebody from I think the Falcons organization somehow somebody's son got
Yeah.
Shador's phone
Prank called
number.
them.
Yeah, like stuff like that is just like when those kind of things always happen to this guy. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? Like we're underdrafting him for whatever reason. I don't know. We're prank calling him. Now we're kind of putting him behind a lesser quarterback. Now we're arguing with him. Like, why is it always stuff being thrown at him? Mind you, he's only played 2 games. So um, I think people are just like taking these little pieces and like making it a big picture. And some of the pieces are valid and some of them aren't. So it's like he's getting a bad rap in some cases, but also in some cases, we're dragging it a little bit. I just want to see him get a chance because I think he can play football really good in a good coaching supported system. Um, the other stuff is like context, 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 context.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the prank call thing, it came out afterwards that there was several players that were prank called and it happens all the time. Um I because Shador's been polarizing and he was like the focus of the draft because everyone's like he hasn't gone yet. Why hasn't he gone yet? Where's he going? So it may he was the only one that we were told that this happened to, but it was happening to others as well.
Mm.
Um so to me It just seems like, when you are the center of attention, whatever happens around you is gonna be part of that conversation too. So there was like I don't know if it was a tight end or a corner or something like that, a couple different players that were called, but you don't hear about them because they're, you know, I love college football, but I don't know I'm not that deep into it that I know the second, the left tackle from Fresno State, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's Jey Uso.